It's your boy Jimmy V. What's going on? Another episode of DMC, Dating, Mating, and Communicating. I'm glad you tuned in because we got some good stuff for you. Stay tuned.
A high schooler in summer.
That's all right. That's what it's for.
You just snorkeled on air. Welcome back, you know?
Thank you. That's what it is, snorkeled. Yeah, I do that.
Is this some Paula? Is this
Yeah.
Paula Abdul in the
American
mix.
Idol judge Paula?
Right.
Abdul,
You know what's funny about her? She looks like the same now as she did in like 1994.
Yes, it's amazing.
For the most part.
For the
It's
most
amazing. That's
For the
right.
most part.
Yeah. What's going on, everybody? You are back for another episode of DMC, Dating, Mating, and Communicating. This is where you want to be every Wednesday, 8:10 Pacific time. Of course, I am your host, Jimmy V. Twitter, Instagram, @BeYourOwnDad. But I'm not alone. Got the baddest panel in the land. Let
Say
them introduce
what?
themselves.
Yeah, hey everybody, how you doing? I hope you're enjoying your summer. It is Constance Dunn. You can always find me at Instagram or Twitter at Constance Dunn.
Chaos.
Of all places.
Oh, sorry. Did not mean to interrupt the queen.
No.
My bad. I was a little over anxious there. It's your man, KaaosJ, Chaos Jones in the building.
Okay.
Chaos_Oceans 31. 31 flavors. You already know.
31 flavors. Special in time for the summertime too, because
Right?
you gotta switch it up. I had very interesting feedback from last week's episode. So first of all, shout out to Frank. I'm glad he swang on through. Brought us into his world.
Right.
And
His world.
I like the different perspective on the way he approaches relationships and stuff. One of our viewers reached out to me, mentioned that, hey, that guy was hilarious. They thought everything that he was saying was funny, but true to a T. And this is where my question comes to you. Since today's episode is about boundaries,
Right.
I remember when Frank was here and he was demonstrating how he
The hair
approaches a woman, right? And he kind of brought you in.
Yeah.
From over here, my boundaries were like passed. I was like, whoa.
I was like,
Oh.
why you touching her like
Right,
that?
yeah. I felt some type of way. So
I did too.
I just wanted to get your 2 cents
I've been meaning to ask you that too.
on that situation there.
You were very accommodating with that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, because it's the show, and I like to be an pro-educational
which we do
person.
appreciate you giving up yourself, for
Right.
the demonstration.
Yes, but I'm not a big touchy-feely person unless I know you.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But suffice to say, I just, and it's not personal to him, but I went and washed my hair.
Yep. Okay.
So
right.
half a bottle of shampoo was
Easy.
and
Easy.
it's not personal. It's just having a stranger's hands and their energy. This is where it gets hippie for me. Having their energy in my hair and in my head, which is very personal. And it's funny. He had a point. He had a good point. Getting intimate in a woman's hair, like I can remember, like for instance, my husband or like men that I've been romantically involved with, like it's a very special place,
Like if they get to touch the hair, it's because they earned it.
Exactly. They were
That's
able
also some
to
of that-
bypass the boundaries you set
Right.
beforehand.
Yes, and I remember a man who I cared for very much. Remember he put his face in my hair and was scenting it, like smelling it like it was like opium field. And I loved him, so I was very
He's
flattered
like,
by that.
smell this hair, daddy.
Yeah.
Smell it. Smell it.
But yeah, he has an interesting, I think he does it in the club where he was saying, he made
Right.
a good point because I said, oh my God, if you touch my hair, he goes, but the way you are maybe a few drinks in, if the guy was really hot and I'm single and we're having fun and I don't sense anything scary Larry off of him, he's got like a smile.
Scary Larry.
Then I think that it's a bold move. And I think that
Yeah,
Very
it's
bold
a
move.
super bold.
Yeah.
It's
Very
a
bold.
bold
Yeah,
move
that's
that I'm
a-
probably never gonna add to my repertoire.
Yeah.
If I'm
No.
ever back on the market like that, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm all down for some hair
Right.
pulling, but
But
not
that's just-
at that situation, if you know what I mean, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, of course, today's episode, we are going to be talking about the beauty of having boundaries, right? So I think we all put up boundaries for the fact, one, nobody wants to get hurt, whether that's emotionally, mentally, physically, all those variations. So I think boundaries start from a protective way. And then Constance, I love how you put down here, they keep you from making bad decisions in your love life.
Right, right. So I don't know if you guys have had this, but have you guys had like a tragic, horrible love affair, a relationship that wounded you, put you like really messed with your head?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
right.
definitely.
Right, right. So if you look back, because I like to look back, and you kind of deconstruct what happened because you don't want to make the same mistake, right?
That's right. Only way to move forward, you have to look back,
Right.
see what you did, switch things up, and keep it pushing.
Right, right, right. Just like try to pull out the lesson. But usually there's some point in the relationship where you go, I know this was the red flag, and everybody told me.
Right.
You know what
I feel
mean?
like, I feel like, but girls, they always say, oh, he's a player, he's this and that, but you're the one in the relationship, so you're like, y'all don't know what he's talking about. He
Right.
treats me good.
Right,
Down the
right.
line, your girls were actually right.
Spot on.
Yeah.
And I think some of that speaks to the point that they probably are able to catch it because they've already been through it.
That's right,
Even
yeah.
though
They see-
even though his moves might be different to the point to where you might not recognize his moves, they've seen those moves. So they're like,
That's
oh
right.
yeah, that's that
Yeah.
F game right there. That he got that Z that he doing that Z technique right now.
right.
Like, yeah, girl, I had somebody do the Z technique on me. And they can see it, but you've only had, C, A, and F technique.
Yeah. You
So
ain't seen
you
it
don't
all.
recognize
Thank
that
you.
Z
That's
because
right.
that Z is that
Thank
new.
you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and people really punish themselves too when they are, because a bad mate decision could pretty much make your life. It could ruin your life.
Yes, it
right?
can.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It can ruin your life, or it can damage you.
Thank you. You're right.
To the point where you may unknowingly and inadvertently do the same thing that was done to you to
To the next
someone
person.
else.
And that's the
And
worst
that makes
thing,
you
too.
a terrible human. I've done this, so I am a terrible
No,
human.
you're not.
Right.
No, you're not.
But I have learned from my mistakes.
Right.
Now,
Good.
I wanted to say, Jimmy, have you had any of your homeboys be like, yo, dude,
Yeah.
she's trouble.
She's
Yeah.
a
Do
hoe,
it.
she's a slut, she's a freak. Got a different dude
Every
every day of the week, right?
No, but
Yes.
not even on that level. Not even like, she smashed all the homies.
Mm-hmm.
Although that's important to know too, because you definitely don't want to make a thought.
Always is
a
important
thought
to
into
know.
a girlfriend. But
Right.
I just mean, just in generally, like, yo, she's batshit crazy, bro.
Yes, I've been told, Jimmy, this is what you're about to get into, and they kind of broke it down for me. Not
Yeah.
from they've been with her, but they know somebody else who's experienced that. So actually knowing that, to be honest, I'd rather have not known, and here's why.
Okay.
Because during the whole time we were interacting with each other, I was waiting for whatever my man told me to come out of her. So I was like,
You were anticipating
I was
it, and you were
anticipating it instead of just living in the moment and learning for myself. Did I end up being saved? I actually did. So shout out to my
Wow.
boy. But at the same time, I didn't give her a chance just because I was like, okay, here it comes. And that's exactly what he was talking about.
Right.
I'm done with you.
You
know?
already had a preconceived judgment when you went into it.
Right.
See,
good
a lot
point.
of people are like, curiosity kills the cat. Everyone's telling them that this person's bad news bears, but they're like, yeah.
I still want to find
I
out
still got
myself.
it. It's like, don't
I
touch.
was, yeah.
It's like, hey, Jimmy, don't touch that stove. Jimmy, don't touch
That
that
stove,
stove.
right,
Hey,
right.
Jimmy, I told you, man, it's hot. And you're like,
And then, damn.
Right.
You know what? Les Brown, one of my, I look up to him. He says, money doesn't make you rich, but everybody wants to find out for themselves, right? So
Yes, that's true. That's
So
true.
then,
it's like,
no
money
matter-
doesn't buy happiness. But
Right,
it's like,
right,
oh,
yeah.
let me just find out for myself.
right. It's like,
I'll
go
figure
ahead
it
and
out.
give me a couple mil, and
let
I'll
me get
be
a
the
couple
judge of
million,
that.
right? And then you're rich and still lonely, right? But
Right.
it's the same thing though. When someone may tell you something, you don't believe it until you go through it your actual self.
You gotta go
Or-
through it to grow through it.
It's
Boom,
true.
boom.
Or it's a trade-off. Now, this is where it gets interesting because whenever you're involved in relationships, people don't like this, but think of it as a market-based trade-off.
Yeah.
You're trading some value of yourself, and I'm trading a value of yourself that you want. We're trading each person's, it could be just even friendships. You do the same thing. You like your friend because A, B, C, and D.
Very true.
He likes you because A, B, C, and D, right? So you do the same thing in relationships, romantic relationships. So here's the situation. If somebody is giving you something so amazing that even there's a drawback where, like, let's just say your friends are telling you that this woman's like owes $500,000 in debt, so
But she got that snapback.
right, she's got something.
And I'm trying to get the snapping, but
Right, so you're gonna take the trade-off, right?
Yeah.
Like, can you think about trade-offs are interesting because
Bite the bullet.
It could be something like, okay,
like,
I know the guy doesn't
not-
have, like,
not
I'm
that
basically supporting him, but he's got something else that I'm doing a trade-off on. Because there's another attribute that right now in my life is more important than that. Like his fine ass. You know what I
Right.
mean? So yeah.
Whereas the sex could be great.
Right.
I mean, some people legitimately
Yeah.
stay in really bad relationships because they have such great sex.
Access to sex.
There's a song my Ratchet side is coming out right now. It's like two bomb. It's a dick two bomb. That's what it's
Right.
called, right? So the girl is saying everything that's wrong in the relationship,
Right.
but she's saying dick two bomb, so she's still sticking with it.
Because it can be addictive too. And when the sex therapist was here, I don't remember the specifics, but she talks about this it's a phenomenon that happens chemically in your body. And she's a really good sex therapist, so I'm going to go with what she's saying. That's why she says that, I might be paraphrasing, but to be careful with sex because it puts it changes your mind. It's a drug.
It does.
It's a
It
drug in
does.
your mind, so you can't see the person clearly.
You got blinders on. You got them blue blockers.
They could be like behind your back. You're like, what time am I going to pick you up tonight, Tiffany?
I've
She over there
said this on the
sharpening
show
knives,
before.
sharpening knives, scrolling through pictures of her dead exes on her phone. And you're like, yeah, so I'm gonna come through about 7.
Scary situation there.
Like,
Right.
let's just have some Netflix and chill.
So a way to avoid a lot of pain, it especially is in the beginning when you haven't had a lot of experience with relationships, because you're just figuring things out. Like I have like had a horrible relationship back in the day, which was always very useful to me, but it was just like, it was a horror story. But the idea is that what would have probably helped me, I'm not blaming myself, I just didn't have the base of experience. But if I had had some boundaries in place.
So how do we set those?
Right. So one of the things you can do is just a caveat. If you are from a family where your family did not have very good boundaries in place, or none at all, or they were slippy, slidey, or they were just completely whacked out and not anything you should follow, then give yourself some slack, because you don't have a good sense of what boundaries are or how to set them. We have a little graphic up on the screen that kind of shows you the idea of different boundaries. And of course we have healthy boundaries, it's little stick figures there. We also have limited or non-existent boundaries, and that's an issue that I had. I'm just talking about myself just to use me instead of like Mary Jane or, and then of course we have loose or porous boundaries. You kind of have these set up, well, I don't want someone who's like a liar or a drug addict, but they're loosey-goosey, so you'll bend them. You don't really have a commitment to yourself on them. And then, of course, we have the rigid. Now, it's good to have strong boundaries, but sometimes you do have to use reason, because people's cases can be
Different.
Exactly.
Right. And then they're all surrounded, for those that are listening, like you
thank you.
always do.
Right.
You're so good about that.
Yeah.
Where each example has a different border. So the healthy boundaries just looks like a simple dotted line around that frame, where the limited non-existent is almost not there. You almost can't see it. And the loose and porous, a lot can get through because it's loose and porous. There's a lot of spaces, with that border. And then the rigid is just straight,
Right.
solid,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
not getting through.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Not dating a girl with red hair. Done. That type of thing.
Yeah, pretty much, which is
Bad
ridiculous.
example. Yeah. So the idea of boundaries, often it's hand in hand, self-respect in a sense. And again, don't beat yourself up if you don't have that, or if you're working on that.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you had to go through a few situations to actually understand boundaries. So,
Correct.
do you feel like at that age were you around the limited to non-existent type boundaries over here? Like, where do you feel based on these figures here that you were at that age to where you are now?
So I had limited or non-existent
Oh,
boundaries,
okay.
and now, and this is just a because of experience, you know what I mean, and time on the planet, and having done some self-study and stuff,
Right.
is I have healthy boundaries now. I have
That's good.
one of the things that I think that it can be. This is where I made a mistake. Maybe others do, so I just mention it. There's this idea of not judging other people.
That's
That can
very
be poison
important.
because
That
you
is.
must use mental discernment. Women, you must use discernment.
Judge away.
Exactly. And I took that perhaps incorrectly. And so the idea is like it's like if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for everything type of thing. That's very
Nice.
dangerous.
Nice.
In
That's a good
particular,
one.
yeah, for particular for women. But the idea of boundaries is that you're thinking about ownership of the self. So this is your mine, and that is yours. So some of the things, what do you own? Your body. You own your preferences. You have every right to them. Your values, your ethics, your likes and dislikes. And abusive people very quickly often want to move in and move your boundaries, and they want you to defend them.
Just like hurt people hurt people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Have you guys, have you had experience with someone like that really kind of maybe was a little bit of a man hater and really was.
I try to stay away from.
Man hating, not
you
so
wouldn't
much, but I've
know.
had someone that's definitely they test the boundaries
All the time.
where all the time, and then not only do they test the boundaries, but then when you call when I would call that person out on it, you know. And like for me, if you call me out on my mistakes, and I own up to it, and I'll say, you know, okay, yeah, you're right. You know what? I apologize, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But this particular person would not own up to anything
Yeah.
at all. It was like, you tripping.
Wow.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying anything. But then, you know, I'll bring you a plate of food and be like, you know, we cool now? No.
Oh, really?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, weird.
So they try to avoid owning up to it with something
Owning up to
else,
it,
like
right.
replacing
So
it.
hey, you want to go catch that movie that you said you wanted to catch on Friday? Like, we still got beef.
Yeah, we still got an issue to handle. I mean, we can go, but afterwards
Like, can we
still
talk?
got
Like, I would
problems.
need you to
Yeah.
apologize because you were 100% wrong.
Good for you, because that's actually one of 4 top behaviors that signal boundary problems.
Ooh,
Trying to
okay.
control another via manipulation or force. She wasn't using force, but manipulation. Like, here's a coconut cream pie.
Kind of like R. Kelly. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Did I say that?
Yeah, that's a horrible story. But another one, behavior that signals boundary problem is making your girl or guy read your mind instead of saying what you're feeling. I was guilty of that just because I was, but I wasn't trying to.
I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure I might get roasted in the comments for this, but I'm pretty sure all women are guilty of that.
I know, poor guys.
What's wrong? Nothing.
Nothing.
Fine.
Just say it. You should know.
Right. It's like, if I knew, I wouldn't be asking.
That's right.
See, yeah, that's like a maturity thing too. But another one is saying no when it would be okay to say yes. Like if you're punishing somebody by, like, let's say withholding affection. A big one is saying yes when you'd rather say no. It's like to please others or avoid conflict.
And I think
okay.
a lot of people experience that. You know,
Yeah.
they feel the need to just give in at that time. You know, if someone's mad, you know, I don't want you to be mad, so they give in to whatever they request just to calm that person down. When it really should be, let's figure out why you are mad
And talk about it
exactly.
and come up with a resolution that we can both agree on.
I sound so mature. Okay.
You
Right.
do.
Well,
You
boundaries
do. You get a
aren't
mature
automatic.
gold star of the day.
Yeah, you do. They're not automatic. And again, especially if you're from a family with bad boundaries or no boundaries. So the good thing is just you can start to set some boundaries if this is new for you. You could do this at any age, even if you don't have experience with romantic relationships. What you could do is just think of, what relationships do I admire? Like, what relationships seem cool? They could even be from television. It could be your grandparents.
Right
it could be
now?
someone from your neighborhood. And break it down a little for yourself. Always ask yourself why. Like, what specifically do I like about that relationship. So do it for 5 and trust you will find commonality on like 4 or 5 of those. I like the way he's so respectful of her mind. I'm just using an example.
Yeah.
I like the way he praises like her cooking. I
Yeah.
like the way that he seems to like really love her when she's sick. Those are just 3 that I'm throwing out right now.
I can think of. I just reposted on my Facebook. I saw some, mushy video compilation, but
Right.
it was of Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade.
Okay.
And everybody says they've got a great relationship. And after watching that video, they truly do.
Right.
It's beautiful. But Gabby said it all started because they were friends first,
Yeah.
and then they started to build after that, boom, boom, and then now they are there, which. Interesting. Did you know Gabrielle Union is 9 years older than Dwayne Wade?
No, did not know
I
that.
like
I
it.
thought, if anything, it'd be the opposite,
Oh,
right?
I knew it wasn't the opposite. I figured they were really close in age.
Right.
But 9 years, I was like, oh, okay.
She's always looked a lot younger than her, like by the number of
Definitely.
candles on the birthday.
Like
cake.
she low key still kind of low
She
key
still
look
looks
like
like
Bring
she's
It On.
33.
Right.
Like Bring It On.
She was
Yeah.
playing like teen roles, I think, when she was a little like older than the teenage.
Definitely,
situation.
yep.
More power to her. So have you actually, Chaos, consciously put forth boundaries in your life?
Yes.
You have.
Yes.
How did you come about figuring out how to do it?
When they got shattered, when I didn't even have any, and then I got stepped on, and just kind of I was just a pushover, and I then that's when I had to start establishing boundaries and kind of identifying things and saying, okay, these are things I'm not okay with.
Okay.
But it definitely didn't happen overnight, and it's definitely something that had I not got for all intent and purpose shitted on, I probably wouldn't have come up with these boundaries. But that's
See?
what it took.
That's what it took.
For me to be like, okay, I definitely don't like this. I don't like the way it's making me feel. I'm not going to put up with this anymore.
If you had done it before then, would you still have gotten in the relationship, do you think?
That's a good question.
Let me.
I would say yes, because a lot of people's true colors aren't out front when you first start dating them.
Right.
You're still doing things to impress each other and all of that.
Spending money that you
All those
shouldn't be spending.
Right. All those insecurities and all that other stuff does not really make itself apparent until well into the relationship.
Right, and especially if people are if someone is a master manipulator, they're usually pretty good at it. You know what I mean? They're not going to come out on the first date and like start beating you or like start lying to you or acting all like scandalous to you. And that's one of the reasons that people might set up boundaries, but we don't always keep them.
That's right.
And it's because the big one is that you want to believe. I always say fantasia is very powerful. You write the story about somebody. You start writing a story about someone you don't know.
That's right.
Based upon like maybe dancing with them or
And that's the
beauty.
worst too.
Or if you have an imagination, if you're a creative person, I find that if you're creative, you just start like running away with this idea, and you want to believe your own romanticized
Don't they
version.
say like females set up the wedding day before even like the first date or something?
That's really funny.
I've heard it though.
I
I've heard
know,
it.
and it's funny because I'm just like going back to being like a person that would have high school crushes, right?
Yeah.
So I would just like this guy, and I would just think about his face and how beautiful he is, and think all like he was perfect because I thought he was beautiful. Have you done this with women?
I actually have.
Yeah.
Actually,
I've even gone as far as back in the day. I've even gone as far as
matching tattoos or something.
no. I've even gone as far as like with my daydreaming, so to speak. Always like trying to imagine what a family portrait would look like.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I know it's real weird, but
No,
like
it's not weird.
one of those like old school type Olin Mills, for anybody that knows about Olin Mills, like one of those old school type, not like that, but like what would a family portrait look like with this person and and maybe a kid or two.
Wow.
Like that would be like I would visualize that like okay, possibly, maybe. So
I've gone as far to this is so bad, but I just think, what are all my homies gonna say when they see her? Just
That
because
too.
I know how they act,
Right.
and I feel like the women I pursue, I know all my boys are gonna be like, "Damn, Jim,
Yeah.
where'd you get her at?" So with that said, I tend to get get the ones that everybody's trying to get, just so when I get her on my arm, I guess it's like pride or
Like a trophy.
ego or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that too.
Nice.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's nice. I know that guys like to show off their ladies, and I always like to look particularly extra super special if I know I'm gonna meet my guy's
You should.
family or friend, because I know that's something I want to do it for my own self, but of course I want him to be happy
Right.
about his choice. And we'd love to, of course, get the chat up there if there's anyone
Let's
here.
get that hot
Definitely.
chat going.
Yeah, I'm so glad you guys haven't had horrible relationships. And something to think about when you are doing your boundaries, if you want to get into it like in this level, just think about romantic partnerships can be broken down into, they serve 5 basic relational needs or relationship needs. They are companionship. Every person has a need for companionship in this world.
Adam needed Eve. Yeah.
Yeah, need for intimacy, someone to tell your secrets to. Need for security, that could be emotional security, could be material. Also, the idea of emotional involvement, just being emotionally involved with somebody. And lastly, sex. So it's good to think about which one of those, where are those, what are you most interested in having fulfilled? Because we're all different. Sex might be more important. Security might be more important. I know that something I've come to appreciate being married is the physical protection of having a husband.
Oh, okay.
It's
so the
interesting.
physical need to feel you are actually protected.
Yeah, it's actually a luxury. You know what I mean? I could be single. I mean, I could live alone again, but I was single for so long, and it's really nice to be able to lighten up a little bit and just be relaxed. I know that when I walk down the street with a guy, any guy, that I feel I am more safe as a
Good.
woman, and it's a really luxurious kind of nice thing that I could tiptoe through the tulips and look up at the sky.
Right.
So that's a need for me that I really enjoy.
You
having.
mentioned emotional's one of them.
Yeah,
Was
so
it?
emotional involvement.
I feel like me personally, just when it comes to sharing my thoughts, like I don't share everything with random people.
Right.
So when it comes to that one person I'm involved with, just being able to have those conversations, share emotions,
Yeah.
I think that's what I value most there.
Yeah, it is. It's feeling like somebody knows you too.
That's right, yeah. And I was just having a great conversation with one of our viewers. If she's watching, what's up? And we were just speaking about how she feels as if she's not ready to get into a relationship because I guess someone is trying to. And this person ended up giving her a ultimatum to say either we get into this relationship or we're done.
Really?
Yeah. So then what I ended up telling her is, one, you don't have to deal with any type of ultimatum.
Yeah,
You know,
good.
if you feel you're not ready,
You ain't ready.
don't. Right. Exactly. But then I also expressed too that don't think there's anything wrong with you to think you're not ready.
Right.
All of us, we all think we may be ready for our next step or our next relationship or something. So if you know yourself that you're not ready for something, no need to force yourself into it.
Not only that, because I just want to jump in real quick.
Yeah.
Because, excuse me, I also feel like, too, there's a lot of times, and I know it's even happened to me, where you're like, yeah, I'm ready for this. Yeah, girl, we need to go to the next level. And then you get to the next level, you're like, oh, whoa, hold on, wait.
Hey.
Wait, whoa.
This is kind of high.
They do this on this level? Oh, no, I wasn't trying to do all of that. This is on this level? Oh, no, I'm on the wrong level. I got to go.
Right.
I can't stay.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, if you're not ready, you're not ready. I can remember again my horrible relationship that I just use as a teaching tool. But
I think you should say that person's name and address.
I know. Yeah, they were like, wow, scared me straight. But the idea is that they used to always try to get me to tell them secrets of my life. And it was weird. And they were older. And I know why they always dated girls that were under 25 because they were basically emotional predator.
Ooh, you know what?
No
But
one their
you
own
just made a
age
good
would've
point,
put
though.
up
R.
with
Kelly?
that
A
shit
what? I'm
yesterday.
sorry. This name keeps slipping out of my mouth.
It's atrocious. I
But-
know about the first case. I followed the first trial. It was
Yeah, all that R. Kelly
But
stuff
that's
is
exact-
madness.
right.
But you made a great point. I know people who only go after younger girls
There's a
because they haven't gone through anything, so they don't know
Right.
how to
They're
deal
very
with this.
naive.
Very
Right.
naive, yeah. Which we all
And they're very
are
gullible.
Exactly.
until we go through those experiences.
Right, and then they're pissed. Then they're pissed off 24-year-old women.
Well, even you can even
Y'all
take
are-
it back to like high school.
right.
The senior that dates the freshman.
And I remember like the junior and the senior girls, if they knew that you were messing around with a freshman, you was cut off. You was blacklisted, so you could never go back.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys would always date the freshmen because they could manipulate them. And
Yeah,
do
they
whatever
can
want.
manipulate them.
Now,
so.
keep in mind though, even though we do bring this up, and we just got done with the topic of Gabby and Dwayne, who
Right.
are 9 years apart. It's all about the level of maturity that
Right.
that person is.
Right.
Because a person could be 30 and have no relationship experience.
Right.
They've got the brain mentality of someone that's like 16 or something.
Right.
When it comes to relationships.
Yes, exactly.
And Dwayne and Gabrielle are adults.
That's
too,
right.
And they also have their own money. Like there's an equity.
When I say the
there.
boy got his own
Sure.
money, the boy got
Man,
his
that
own
boy-
money.
Stop it. That boy is
Right.
worldwide, okay?
Yeah, but
I
it
mean,
is.
she is too,
yeah.
though. I mean, she
What's
got-
this image that we have up here, Miss
Well,
Queen?
we're cutting this. Let's just put this up for now. I'm going to do a little flashback to my days at Fox 29 WFLX in Palm Beach, because a few episodes ago we were talking about dressing your figure and whether you're a guy or a girl, thinking about visually balancing your figure.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this. Choosing stuff that for guys will kind of make your shoulders have greater width than your torso, and that making a really great visual look. And of course, let's just show this short little clip. And
Kind of really get a hard-nosed assessment
Queen.
of yourself in the mirror, but be kind, but look at areas that you might want to visually balance a little, and think about what clothes might get you there. And for instance, maybe a little ruching up in the shoulders to create a broader shoulder. For men, forget the tent tops with the drop shoulders,
Right.
with the silky material. It's too much bulk for most men. And also look at your pants. A lot of manufacturers put a lot of extra fabric in the seat of the pants, which creates what I call the dighty look on men. Way too much bulk that you don't need. And if you're a guy who hasn't tried out flat front trousers, just give them a whirl, give them a whirl.
Those look good. I see a lot of guys
Lovely.
with flat front trousers, and those look really, really good.
As
Well, you
opposed to
did give us
pleats.
some great tips, so we're so
terrible.
glad that you were here with us again. Constance Dunn, our fashion expert. Thank you once again for being here.
Ooh, that girl Constance been doing her thing. Hey, don't sleep on her now.
Plates are like MC Hammer Pants light.
Right.
It's like Diet Hammer Pants.
yeah, they're beyond. But also even dress pants, they like that seat of the pants issue. So flat front trousers are obviously they're making like dress pants for guys so much more flattering for guys these days, which I personally enjoy quite a bit. But yeah, I think I was it just gave you a little one. But I talked about there was like a model that we were using that day, and she did such a great job of like basically cinching the waist and having kind of try to get your shoulders to look as wide as you can, and then just like get a hourglass as much as you can.
And I think that goes with the fellas too. It is not the year 2000 to throw away all those 6XL white tees,
What?
those
I just
extra
got
large
some- I
baggy
just got some
clothes.
new ones in the mail.
I just got them. But yeah, throw away all those clothes that we used to wear that didn't fit on purpose. And I think we should go along with what the ladies are doing, try to, tighten up,
Minus the skinny jeans.
Get yourself.
Yeah.
Still can't co-sign on those.
Those are hard. Those
If
are
you
hard.
can
know
tell
what?
my
I'm
blood type through my
Guilty,
pants.
actually. I'm guilty. I was at the store a few weeks ago. I didn't wear the jeans there because, you're supposed to try them on, make sure they fit. I picked them up. I was like, ooh, these are good. I like the color. I was short on time. Left. Went home, put them on. I was like, what in the hell are these? I was like, damn. But I was running late. So I was like, okay, I got to rock them out. And they weren't bad. But
bet
it's
they look
usually
great.
not my,
Calf was tight.
usually not my cup of tea.
As long as they're not the toothpick type.
Jimmy, I didn't know
When
you
I
was
seen
hey,
them, I was like,
brother.
what the hell?
That's,
So, yeah.
that is funny. And I don't know if you guys heard about the, catfish campaign, the Killing Catfish campaign. And I just had to put it up there. There's a model called Matt Peacock. And of course, we have a picture of him on Tinder. Ladies, get a good eye full of that just so you recognize this guy. In case you should, make sure you rehearse that face there. His identity has been stolen and used to create over 40 fake dating profiles in the UK.
Someone called Neve.
Yes, so Matt Peacock has been he is pissed off now, and he's trying to he's actually connected with women that were victimized by people who have been using his face, and they've actually, he's married, they've called his wife and said, I've been talking to your husband and stuff, and this woman was telling him how she felt suicidal because, of course, the people that use the catfish, that use his pictures, they will they'll get the naked pictures and the sex stuff, which what they do, they basically, I'm like, oh, I'm really into you, these people, women.
Let me get them nudes.
Yeah, they think that they have a relationship with this fabulous guy.
That's
horrible.
Can you imagine the drama every time the wife, I'm sure after a certain point, she's like, okay, I already know what this is. No, you've been catfished, blah, blah, blah. But the first one or two, you coming home?
You gotta believe me.
Yeah.
It's not me. I don't know.
But look at this profile.
Right.
I know this. That was the laundry behind you.
Yes. And they even used pictures of his nieces and nephews to say, oh, see, these are my kids, and I'm like Mr. Family Man.
We're all experienced catfish panelists, so
yes,
we know how far these people go to protect their secret.
They do.
Yes, and you know what? They confronted, they had basically him confronting, or some woman confronting this guy that was using, who was the worst catfish, and using it left, right, and center. And the basically guy did something similar, which we see on the show Catfish on MTV. He promised he would stop doing it, and then 2 weeks later, he was doing it again.
Right back on it.
Right, so Matt is trying to make this illegal in England. That would mean to steal another person's ID in order to lure them into a sexual relationship.
Well, tell him to holler at Neem, right? Because I'm sure he knows a whole lot about that.
My thing is, I just feel like, okay, maybe you get an adrenaline rush or a thrill from doing that, but at the end of the day, you don't look like that person. So, you can never meet up.
Right.
Yeah.
Because once that person realizes you're
So, yeah, what is your next step when it's time to actually meet up? Yeah. It's like when you actually finally decide, okay, I'm gonna actually meet this person. I'm not who I say I am.
Right.
What do you do? I don't know. That's why I don't do any type of catfish or anything of that sort.
I mean, well, yeah, but you don't do any.
Just because I'd be lost. I don't know. It's what if I say I'm Kels, right?
Right.
And they say, okay, let's meet for drinks at 8. Sure. Me thinking as I'm going there, okay, she's not gonna recognize me. What am I gonna say when I get there? And she's like, you're not who you say you are.
And how are you gonna and be able to keep her there to continue with the date?
Right, yeah.
Because at that point, you've lied about the very most basic thing is what you look like.
And then everything you've built up until that point is thrown out the window. And that is us, which I always love to hear us on YouTube there.
That is really loud. Sorry, you guys. I just wanted to see if there are people in the chat. I was having a hard time checking them out. So if you are joining us, we do always appreciate you. I know that there's some people watching us live. But Kels, you never mentioned, I know we fessed up to which one of the 5 basic relational needs are more important to you?
I'm so glad I'm not asking this question because he always thinks I'm coming at him. So Queen, there you go.
Okay, so
again, there's companionship,
intimacy, security, emotional involvement, and sex. And how many am I allowed to pick?
You're allowed to pick the couple that are very important to you. Or you can pick as many, but which ones are really kind of very important to you?
I would say
choose one.
That's the only one you get.
Well,
you get fries.
We chose one. So
just one? Okay, all right. So just one?
Yeah.
Companionship.
Wow.
Yeah, because, I mean, at the end of the day,
Let me tell you about my best friend.
Hey! You definitely want someone, you want to feel like you have, that you're with someone that's going to have your back.
Yes.
Or even just someone that, when you get off work and you get in the car, hey, man, that's the first person you call to tell them about your day.
Yeah, that's really
if
nice.
I was your best friend.
And you know what's funny?
I want you around all the time. I want you around all the time. I was your best friend. Shout out to 50 Cent on that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think there's something really nice. You were talking about Gabrielle Union and her husband.
Yeah.
And when we talked about Stephen, Steph Curry and his wife,
Aisha.
Curry.
it seems like, again, the kind of commonality and thing that I say a lot is that good friends make like great wives and great husbands.
And I agree, because that's why I think if a relationship is based only on sex, it's not going to last.
No.
'Cause I remember watching this grandmother speak. Her video went viral. She's like 60 something, but she was just talking about her marriage, which now she's been married 30 plus years, and she kept it real. She was like, "Oh, we started out as friends. The sex was good,
Right.
but the sex died off like after age 40 something.
Really?
So when the sex died off, we still had our friendship to last on, and that's what got them to where they are now. So if you don't have a foundation to stand on, you're gonna crumble." I'm dropping bombs
Yes, you
down
are.
here.
You're gonna
DJ Clue, give me a
crumble.
beat, boo.
And it's funny that in this, the 5 relational needs, there's companionship, but then there's intimacy and emotional involvement. And those 3 are really related. But the idea of intimacy is when there's no intimacy, let's just say 2 people are chummy, but they're not really intimate.
What do you mean by chumming?
Like, you get along really well. Like, we're chums. You know what I mean? We get along in this
We're lads.
relationship. But I don't have a
Lads.
sense of depth and emotional, intimacy. I always think
Like-
is something very deep. That's like
you guys always hang around each other, but
Right.
you're not deeply connected as to
Right.
conversation-wise.
yeah, exactly. Because I think a lot of relationships, when people try to talk somebody into staying into a relationship, and they'll say like, "We get along great." And the person's like, "Yeah, okay, we get along great," but then they don't feel a really in-depth connection to them. I think that's a hard thing to manage, these in-depth love types of relationships.
I'm still learning about them, so
I think it's very rare, though, that people can be friends, deeply feel that sense of in love, intimacy,
me
and
again.
sex. Is this a song thing?
everything's a
Okay.
song with me. We'll be lovers and friends. Oh, it's a good thing, baby. Usher and
I
Lil
hated
Jon.
that song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that who sings
Yeah.
that
I mean,
one?
it was played so much that I ended up liking it, but I hated that song.
But it's true though. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
lovers and friends, isn't that the best combination?
It is.
It is. Last question, do you think that there's more than one person for you on Earth here?
Yep.
Yes.
Like, there's more.
We said that really quick.
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, yeah.
But I do. I don't believe. I know that, a lot of people subscribe to the soulmate concept. And I'm not going to knock the soulmate concept. I believe that, but I also believe that there's so many damn people on this planet that
Yeah.
Over a billion
if
people.
one soulmate doesn't work, you can find another match. If one puzzle piece fits for a little bit and then it gets worn and dog-eared and it doesn't fit anymore, you can find another puzzle piece.
And then too, we've spoke about this on the show. Different mates may give you different things. One of them may
Right.
fulfill you sexually, another one mentally, another one emotionally. It'd be dope if you can get all that in one person, but
You just build
a bear,
woman.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
build a
exactly.
bear. Yeah,
Build
there you
one.
The
go.
robot.
But
Well,
unfortunately,
maybe, when they come up with, like artificial intelligence.
iRobot
iRobots,
type
yeah.
stuff, yeah.
But it's like a chick.
But which too, we spoke about this. When it comes to relationships, you gotta sacrifice. You gotta sacrifice the good, and you gotta sacrifice the bad.
How do you mean?
As an example,
You might have 10 things on your checklist. That person might not hit all 10 points the way that you think they should, but they may hit the biggest ones that are the most important to you. And the same can be said for you. You may not hit all 10 points on their checklist, but you guys match up really, really well, and you have a strong compatibility and chemistry. So it's like, why throw that away
There you
because
go.
of one thing or another? So
Yeah.
it's give and take.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I think that's what
Jimmy dropping
keeps
bombs.
people in relationships.
Kels.
Yes, you are. I think it keeps people in relationships. They get worried that they won't find another person.
that's scary though.
It is.
I feel like I don't want to be that guy that you're just sticking with me just cause, as in like I can't find anybody else. I mean, Jimmy's cool and all, but you know,
He's got a good job.
Yeah.
right. I mean, you know, he pays his bills on time, I guess, you know. Like I don't want to be that guy.
Right. And it wouldn't work.
I
Ultimately,
don't think it
would
works.
show itself.
I think over time, whatever it is that we connected on, I think we would outgrow that.
Yeah. How many relationships like have you had? Would you say?
Serious relationships,
Yeah.
I've had 3,
That's not bad.
and I'm 25.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you? Okay. Yeah. It looks like we're getting ready to wrap it up here.
Ooh, just when it was about to get spicy. All right, good. So thank you guys for joining us
Yeah.
for DMC. Today's episode, How to Create Better Boundaries. Always continue the conversation within
Yes.
our YouTube comments, or if you are listening, you can always reach out to us on social media. Of course, I can be found on Twitter, Instagram at Be Your Own Dad, as well as in the YouTube comments. My co-host, where can they find you guys?
Yes, you can always find me at Instagram or Twitter. Remember, write down 5 relationships that you admire and what you admire. It's never too late or too early to just get your boundaries together.
Get them in line, stack
Yes.
them up, rack them up. It's your man, Chaos Jones, Chaos J on Twitter, Chaos_Oceans31. Oceans, why? Because your boy's so wavy.
And I want to thank you guys. And next week, be sure to tune in. It's going to be a special episode, and you don't want to miss out.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio, Instagram at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.